Imagine waking up one morning to discover that one of the most powerful companies on Earth has quietly locked up more silver than some countries hold in their entire reserves, not for jewelry, not for coins, but to fuel a technological arms race that could reshape energy, transportation, and global markets forever. What if I told you that Tesla has just outbid Samsung for an estimated 85 million ounces of silver, triggering what insiders are calling the $120 silver battery war? A move so aggressive it's being whispered about as a silver heist, and the consequences could hit your wallet, your investments, and the future of clean energy faster than anyone expects. This isn't just another metals story, it's about power, scarcity, and a silent battle happening behind factory walls that most people still don't see coming. To understand why this matters, we first need to understand what silver really is in the modern world, because silver is not just a shiny metal anymore. It is an industrial lifeline. Roughly 60% of annual silver demand now comes from industry, not investors, and that share keeps climbing. Silver is the most electrically conductive metal on Earth. It moves electrons with almost no resistance, which makes it irreplaceable in electronics, solar panels, advanced circuitry, and especially batteries. Every electric vehicle, every energy storage system, every smart grid relies on silver at some level, and unlike copper or aluminum, there is no perfect substitute that matches its efficiency. You can use less silver by engineering around it, but you can't eliminate it without sacrificing performance. That's the key point most people miss. Now layer Tesla into this picture. Tesla is no longer just a car company, it's an energy company, a battery company, an AI company, and a manufacturing giant all rolled into one. Its gigafactories don't just produce vehicles, they produce batteries at a scale the world has never seen before. Lithium gets the headlines, nickel gets discussed, cobalt sparks controversy. But silver quietly sits inside critical components, from battery management systems to power electronics, inverters, and high-efficiency connectors. As Tesla pushes toward higher energy density, faster charging, and longer-lasting batteries, the quality and conductivity of materials becomes more important, not less. That's where silver enters the war. According to industry chatter and supply chain analysis, Tesla has been aggressively securing long-term silver contracts, and the number being circulated is staggering, around 85 million ounces. To put that into perspective, global mine production of silver in a year is roughly 800 to 850 million ounces. One company potentially locking up about 10% of annual global supply, not over decades but through strategic offtake agreements, is not a small move, it's a shockwave. And what makes it even more explosive is the timing. Samsung, through its battery and electronics divisions, has also been racing to secure silver for next-generation solid-state batteries and advanced electronics. When Tesla reportedly outbid Samsung, it wasn't just about price, it was about priority, access, and control. Think of silver like oxygen for high-tech manufacturing. You don't notice it until it's scarce, and then everything starts to suffocate. Mining cannot respond quickly to sudden spikes in demand. Silver mines take years to develop, permits are slow, grades are declining, and most silver is produced as a byproduct of mining for other metals like lead, zinc, and copper. That means you can't just turn on the silver tap when prices rise. Supply is rigid, demand is accelerating, and companies like Tesla know this. They are planning not for next year, but for the next decade. This is where the idea of the $120 silver battery war comes from. It's not a prediction pulled out of thin air. It's a scenario based on supply stress. Historically, silver has hit $50 twice, once in 1980 during the Hunt brothers squeeze, and again in 2011 during the aftermath of the global financial crisis. Adjusted for inflation, those highs are already much higher in today's dollars. Now add something we've never had before, a structural, non-discretionary industrial demand driven by electrification, solar energy, AI data centers, and electric vehicles. Unlike investment demand, which can fade when prices rise, industrial demand doesn't care about price in the same way. If Tesla needs silver to build batteries, it will pay the price, because the cost of silver in a battery is still small compared to the value of the final product. Let's make that relatable. If silver in a battery pack costs $50 and the battery pack sells for thousands, Tesla won't hesitate. Even at $100 an ounce, silver would still represent a manageable input cost. But for the silver market itself, that price would be revolutionary. It would reprice mining companies, reshape recycling, and expose just how thin above-ground inventories really are. Many analysts believe there is less than 1 billion ounces of investable silver above ground today, far less than gold, and much of it is already spoken for in industrial applications. Elon Musk has a history of playing supply chains like chess. He famously secured lithium, nickel, and even discussed mining partnerships publicly. So the idea that Tesla would quietly move to dominate silver supply fits his pattern. It's not about hype, it's about control. When you control the bottleneck, you control the future. Samsung understands this too, which is why the bidding war matters. Two giants fighting over the same finite resource doesn't end with stable prices, it ends with escalation. And here's the part that should really make you think. While Wall Street debates interest rates and short-term market noise, this silver battle is happening largely under the radar. Retail investors are distracted, mainstream media barely covers silver, and yet the metal sits at the center of the green energy transition everyone talks about. Solar panels alone consume hundreds of millions of ounces of silver every year, and global solar installations are still growing. Add electric vehicles, grid storage, and next-generation electronics, and suddenly silver demand isn't cyclical, it's exponential. So ask yourself this, what happens when industrial users panic? Not retail investors, not speculators, but manufacturers who cannot operate without silver. They don't sell when prices rise, they buy more. They hoard, they sign long-term contracts, they remove metal from the open market. That's when prices disconnect from traditional models and enter a new regime. That's when a $50 silver chart starts looking very small compared to what could come next. This isn't about fear, it's about understanding incentives. Tesla doesn't move billions of dollars on a whim. If it is indeed locking up tens of millions of ounces, it signals that internal forecasts see silver not as abundant, but as strategically scarce. And when the smartest engineers and supply chain analysts in the world see scarcity ahead, it's usually not a coincidence. It's because they've run the numbers, modeled the demand curves, and looked at mine depletion rates, recycling limits, and geopolitical risks. By the end of this story, you may see silver differently, not as a sleepy metal that lags gold, but as a pressure point in a global system under transformation. And in the next part, we're going to dig deeper into how this potential Tesla versus Samsung showdown could ripple through miners, investors, governments, and even everyday consumers, because